Thanks very much, Brian. Guys, you'll have to forgive me. I haven't had a chance to run through this presentation yet, and I only got finishing it an hour ago. So there might be some ums and ahs and stuff. But I put something together just to show how well we've done this year. I put out a survey recently, and there was 15 questions, and we got 32 respondents, and a lot of it was extremely positive, and there's been a lot of positive things that have happened to the club this year, so I wanted to highlight that and show everyone, how we have got on. But I also wanted to show everybody some of the individual bits of feedback that people had written without obviously putting their names in it. So I'm going to fly through this. I've got 20 minutes, but it mightn't take 20 minutes. So I'm going to share my screen. So just bear with me here and make sure we're all on track. And I think that will be it. Okay, can you see that okay? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, right. So it's our survey results. Right, that's not working. Okay, so yes, as I mentioned, we had 32 respondents, which is not bad at all, considering we have 54 members. So I think we had about 3/4 of our membership respond to the survey. So that was massively appreciated. So how did we get on this year? So we won an award for an increase in the number of new members, and we now have the largest membership in our area and district. Although you wouldn't know that tonight, but we do have that accolade. And hopefully with Tony's fine work, we can continue to have that for the foreseeable future after the next renewal. So let's see if we manage to do that. We won a club commendation for our night with David Seidler, a night that I'll never forget, and I'll probably be talking about it for years to come. And finally, we had our founder, Harminder Dhillon, was awarded Toastmaster of the Year after that night, where we had a lot of dignitaries and people from around the world. And we had our district director, Arno, attend that night. And I think he was massively impressed with the night that we put on, and especially with Harminder's story about founding the club and everything he'd done. So he saw that fit to award Harminder with Toastmaster of the Year. So an incredibly, really, really special year for that. And there's some of the awards, some of the other highlights. So on the left there, we've got, that's actually Shirley's award that she sent me for being a finalist in the district final back in May. And also we had Brian, who took part and did a speech in the spring conference in May. And on the right is, I don't know if you can see that, that's not actually Harminder's award, but it is a district Toastmaster of the Year award. So Harminder has received that. So all good so far. So we had some new events. What I spoke about, David, there. We brought a new role into the club this year, Poem Master, which was incredibly popular at the start of the year. And I think people like it, especially for new members. And as an example, we had Angie give a beautiful poem tonight, a poem I've never heard of. And I've actually asked her, would she mind putting the name of the poem and the author of the poem in the chat so I can go and Google it, because it's something I really want to read again. We also had Susanna Perrin, a contact of mine, come along during the year to give a speech specifically about social anxiety. And of course, we've got Dan here tonight as well. Okay, so we have a few new committee members as well. We've got Angie, who has taken over the role of head of membership, and we also have Brian, as I mentioned at the start of the meeting, who is head of mentorship. And ideally, I would rather have had those roles filled in earlier on the year, because I had to do most of it myself, but I wasn't able to. But we've got two very capable people in the roles now, and as I said, that's going to make a massive difference for the club. So I'm really grateful for both of them for stepping in and taking over for that. So now on to the survey. So the first question in the survey was, how likely are you to attend our face-to-face meetings? And as you can see there, the results of the survey show that around 3/4 of our members are likely going to attend our face-to-face stroke hybrid meetings. Now, there's been a lot of work done on that in the background in terms of being able to find a venue and being able to find the technical equipment that we need. And, you know, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We do have one really great potential venue that may or may not work for us. And if it does, it would be fantastic for the club, but we're waiting to see what happens. But either way, our goal is to try and get back to see each other face to face around October. And the way we're going to structure it is that there's still going to be 2 online meetings, and then we're going to have either just a pure face-to-face meeting or a hybrid meeting, which will allow people to meet face-to-face, but also those who can't make the meeting, they'll also be able to attend online. So that is our goal, and we hope our goals come to fruition. But to be honest with you, it's not easy to do a hybrid meeting, and it's not easy to find a venue that can suit that meeting. So we're aiming towards it. So just to let you know where we're at the moment. Okay, question number 2, mentoring. So as I mentioned, we didn't have a head of mentorship the whole year. It was me doing it, and it was me matching up people. And I know that I dearly would love to have spent more time on it. And I know a few of our most recent new members have not got mentors yet. And that is something that is on Brian's urgent list. But let's have a look at some of the feedback that we've got so far. One of our members said, I found being a mentor very useful. It's been great to have someone in the club to chat to and get tips and advice. Then somebody says, still in the process of getting a mentor, but I'm happy as everyone has been super supportive throughout my time with King Speakers. And then a third one has just said it's been excellent there. So mostly positive with that. But the main conclusion is that more effort and more resources are needed by the club. Somebody just letting somebody in there. And that is something that we've known for a while, and we've got Brian in, and it's going to be, I am looking forward to the stage in the next week or 2 where we have every single member who will have a mentor. And just to add one more point to that, it was really good as well to get new people on board this year, people who've never been mentors before. And, you know, some of our members have taken that on board, and they've got off to a flying start with their mentees. So congratulations to them. It's brilliant to get new experience and new mentors in the club. Okay, so next one was special guests. The feedback for that was, it was really inspiring. It'd be great to see more special guests. I loved David's event. It was amazing to be in a meeting with 100 people, to learn about how a person with stammering has been able to be successful. It was a true inspiration. And, you know, the outtake from that is it would be good to have a guest every 2 to 3 months. So that's something that we're aiming towards, and we would like to be able to get somebody new into the club. Maybe not on the same level as David again, because that was a super big one, but if we can get more people that we think will bring value to the club and value to the members, we will definitely be getting them on board. Okay, so next point, and let me see, was all about new members. So we've had a lot of new members join this year, and I wanted to find out exactly how they thought of the process of joining up as a new member and what their experience of being a new member was so far. And again, mostly positive. You know, the first person there said they had support from day one. They found that all the club members were welcoming and friendly. The joining process was straightforward. One of them mentioned that they didn't realize that there was 2 different sites that we use. That's the Easy Speak and the Pathways site, but their mentor told them, and they found that extremely helpful. But it would have been better if they had been told from the outset. So as I mentioned, we now have Ange, head of membership, Brian, head of mentorship. So the process for new members joining will be much better than it has been. So that's something exciting to look forward to. Okay, committee. Now, we have a committee. Not a lot of people were aware of this, but our committee meets up once a month, and we normally meet up on the Wednesday. before we have our meeting. And some of the meetings can last 45 minutes. Our last meeting was an hour and a half, but the committee is responsible for keeping the club together. Okay. And the conclusion that I got from the survey is that more explanation is required about the roles of the committee, the role of the committee and the individual committee roles themselves. So that's something that I need to take on board, and something that I will do later on in the year. So I'll either get all of the committee members to give an introduction of what they do in the committee, or I will do it myself. So that's particularly for all of the new members that have just joined the club. So so now that we know, that's something I will come back to you on. Okay, so one-to-one meetings and pathways. I've just screen grabbed pretty much the response from the survey. So I tried to get a one-to-one meeting with everybody in the club year, and I wasn't successful. I wasn't able to have the time to meet 56 members for 45 minutes or an hour, and some I didn't need to meet. But the people that I did need to meet were the new members, and I did get meeting all of the new members, and I gave them a good overview of what the club was about, and I asked them about their strengths and weaknesses and what they wanted to achieve in the club. So you'll see that the vast majority of them found that extremely useful. Some members mentioned that they hadn't had their meeting with me, and so I've still a few more meetings to do with some other members. Okay, and then the other question, I'm getting a lot of guests in here at the moment. Okay, I might just stop my survey just for the benefit. We've had quite a few guests that have just joined the meeting here now, and I just want to let the guests know that I'm in the process of giving some feedback back to our members on a survey that took place in the club a few weeks ago. So if you're wondering what's going on, you've just joined us, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm almost halfway through. So if you can bear with me, I'll just finish the survey and I'll speak to you after the survey again. So another question in the survey was about pathways. We wanted to identify if anybody was having difficulties with pathways. And as you can see, the vast majority of our members are quite up to speed. They know what pathways is about. They know what they're following. And we've, if there are members out there that are still unsure, Paul is going to have a pathways surgery where he will meet people one-to-one and explain to them any questions they have or any difficulties they have. So that is that on pathways. I asked a question, were people aware that we have a King Speakers website and a King Speakers Facebook? And there was a mixture of answers in that. Some people knew we had a website. Some people had no idea we had a Facebook page. And I've been keeping the Facebook page up and running since January and putting posts on and highlighting various things. You know, I've tried to do as much on it as I could, but I haven't had time to do, you know, put on weekly updates every week. There was a stage at the start of the year where I was making certificates for people that had won, you know, best speech and best evaluations for the night, and I was posting them on the Facebook page, but I just simply just didn't have the time to do it all. So, but our page is there, it's visible. We've got lots of new people that have liked the page this year, and so people know who we are, and you know, we have our website and we have our Facebook page. So if you're not aware of it, go and have a look at it and see what's on it. One of the comments I thought I would just pull out of the survey was, it'll be great if the club could add more Facebook posts on a weekly basis. Also, it'll be good if the club could add some hashtags on each Facebook post so that we could create more traffic to them. You know, that's something that I would ideally love to do. And next year, when I'm not doing this role, I might take more involvement in the PR side of things, and specifically with the Facebook page and the website. So next year, I plan to do a bit more on that. So meeting roles. I wanted to get people's views. Was there any particular meeting roles which you thought we could do more or less of? And as you can see there, Some people wanted the grammarian role added a bit more often, and fair play, that's right. We only do the grammarian role every couple of months, basically. So it'd be good to bring that back in. Some people wanted the joke master role back in, and the joke master was always one of the most important roles in our club, because we wanted to get a few jokes out at the start of the meeting just to get people sort of at ease and a bit of a laugh. And we kind of replaced that with the poem master, but the role is not redundant. It will come back. We will mix and match. Few people mentioned they wanted less of the body language master, and that's completely understandable. The whole point of the body language master is that we only introduce it once every 6 weeks, and it's just to remind people of how they can go about improving their body language or improving their background or their lighting. So that's a role that comes and goes, and it should only really be relevant for a couple of times a year. We haven't had a general evaluator this year, but we will have Freddie Daniels, who's a good friend of the club, come in and do the role. So we'd like to have Freddie in sometime in October or November. So let's see. I wanted to find out, did we as a club this year, did we stick to our core values and principles of being a club that's set up for people with a stammer, speech impediment, and social anxiety? And the feedback on that was 100% yes, we have stuck to that. One of our members mentioned it would be good to have speeches by experts in the field of stammering, and I totally agree with that. Chris, one of our members, actually did a speech recently on stammering, and unfortunately, I didn't get recording it that night. So Chris has agreed he would come back and do it again, because I would really like some of our members to see that speech again. But quite rightly, it would be good to get an expert in who could give a speech and tell us more about stammering. So that's something, that's one of my goals to achieve before the end of the year. Just again, some more positive feedback about the ethos of the club being held up brilliantly. So we've maintained our core values, but as always, there's always more we can do in this, and we will aim to do more. So we're almost at the end. What is the best thing about being a member of King's Speakers? And I just done a screen grab of this for people to see. You know, there's so many good, positive things there. Being safe, being a safe group to practice speaking, patience and understanding, supportive environment, pretty much many of the things that I talked about in my introduction tonight. So it's good to see that. Good to see that there's so many positive feedback about being a member of the club and about what the club is all about. And we are almost finished. Okay, so we asked respondents, are you planning to renew your membership in September? Nobody said no, which is a good sign. 71% said yes, and 28% said maybe. So that's a positive sign. And then we talked about whether or not we should drop our meetings down from 3 to 2 meetings per month. And there was a mixture. 56% of people, half of the membership, didn't mind either way. 12% said they would prefer 3, and 28% said they prefer 2. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see what happens. It is true that our club, as well as a lot of other clubs, have not been able to fulfill roles and haven't had the same interest in speeches as we did have at the start of the year. At the start of the year, we had 4 speeches, we had 4 evaluations, and we were overrunning, and it was great, but that tailed off over summer. And the reasons for that is that people have been on holidays. People are getting out a lot more now that lockdown restrictions have been lifted. So we will keep an eye on that. We will see how that proceeds over the next while. So I just want to finish off the survey with 2 speeches, 2 really good speeches, or 2 good quotes that we have this year. And the first quote is from David Seidler. And David said, look, you're all such wonderfully brave women and men. You're my sisters, my brothers, and I feel honored to be invited, and I admire you all very much, and thank you so much. So I just wanted to highlight that again. And the other quote was from Freddie Daniels that I mentioned, and this was in relation to Harminder receiving the Toastmaster of the Year award. And Freddie said, look, we're a club of talented members. We've got a strong committee and a supremely supportive club atmosphere. We've got a powerful mission, and all started by a visionary founder, which was Harminder. So pleased to see the great work of you all recognized. Keep up the great work. And, you know, I pretty much just want to end my survey on that. I think I might have one more page. Yeah. And it's pretty much just to say, on behalf of the committee and myself, I just want to thank you, the members, for helping to continue making this club the success that it is. And as David said, you know, we are all such wonderfully brave men and women. We all come here to face our fears and to find our voices. And we have a voice, we have been heard, and we will continue to do that for the rest of this year, for the next year, and the year after that. So I just want to say thank you again for completing the survey. Thank you for being here tonight to listen to the results of the survey. For those members that have missed tonight and they want to see the results of the survey, I will either send a copy of this recording or a copy of the PowerPoint presentation to all of our members so that they can see it. But just to conclude, it's been a really positive year for us, and it's going to continue to be positive. Everybody here in the club, especially the committee, are positive about making this club, continuing the success of this club, and making sure that we stick with our core ethos. So I am now going to finish up, and I am going to pass you over to Dan, who is here kindly tonight to do a workshop for us. So let me just stop sharing that there, and there we go. Yeah, so as I mentioned, during my survey, I noticed we had quite a few guests that have joined us tonight.